Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast. It is the first podcast episode this year. I just wanted to send you all so much love and hope you're having an incredible new year. I feel like this has been the longest January ever, yet New Year's also feels like it was last week. And at the same time, I also feel like I have lived so many lifetimes also in this January, which has been a really interesting one. And I've been navigating a lot of growth in my own personal life and really just took my time to reflect on 2023 and the crazy, beautiful journey that it was. And I can truly say it was the most incredible yet expansive and difficult and heartbreaking and love-filled year of my life. And so yeah, I definitely took the last couple of weeks to just be in this new energy, and I feel like I am a even newer version of myself, which is what I meant by I feel like I've lived so many lifetimes already. I feel like I'm really upgrading and evolving as a woman and as a human being, a spirit, and it's been a really transformative time. And I really just, invite that in and wanted to share that as well, that transformation isn't easy and growth isn't always comfortable. However, it is through the messy and uncertain and somewhat difficult times that we really come out as an even better version of ourselves. And so yeah, here's to the new year. If it hasn't been amazing for you, I really hope that it just keeps on getting better and better. And what better way to start it off with an incredible podcast episode? And today's podcast episode is going to be on love, because I feel like love is my favorite thing to talk about. I love talking about relationships, heartbreak, masculine, feminine energy, spirituality, and it all sort of intertwines because I do believe it's just this life that we're living, and it's all encompassing. Like, what is life without love and heartbreak and challenge? And so this podcast episode is going to be about how to love, and I'm speaking this from the heart and really just truly sharing what I have learned about love, because I feel like that was the theme of my life last year, just like really learning what unconditional love was, what it means to live from the heart, like what even is love. Like I look back on my 20s and I don't know, whatever I thought love was, it really wasn't what I feel now, and how I was living, it wasn't from my heart, and I truly have embodied that. And so I wanted to share sort of my wisdom that I have around it and the teachings that I have learned and just what I have learned through loving. And that did require me to go on a really deep journey within myself of finding love within myself and finding love for myself, as well as learning how to really love someone else and be in love and also come out of love and open up my heart again after it had been hurt. So yeah, love, what a complex word. Like, how do you even describe love? Like, what even is love? It's like you say love and we throw that word around a lot, but that word holds so much depth and power and magic and mystery to it. And so I wanted to come back when I was thinking about like, what is love and how do we love? And I had this sort of download of like, fear is just the separation from love, because we are in our hearts and we are in love. Anything that's not love is just separating us from our heart. So like fear of love, fear of being in relationships, fear of being hurt, fear of being heartbroken, all of these things are taking us away from love. And the first thing that we need to really do in order for us to experience this divine highest love that exists, like the most infinite, powerful source of love, is to really cultivate a loving relationship with yourself. And the deeper you do this, the more love you're going to be able to have in your life, the more love you're going to be able to experience with your partners, with your friends, with love for being alive and love for the little things in life, like the everyday little things, like this cultivation of love that you have with yourself. It like pours into absolutely everything you do. Because if you have such a deep sense of love for yourself, anything around you in the world you can have love for. And loving ourselves and others fully is something, it's like an art we must cultivate. At our essence, we all have an infinite capacity for love, but it's often our beliefs and our perceptions that can inhibit and stop our ability to give and receive love freely. Because love isn't just about giving love and loving someone else and showing love. It's also receiving love and being able to experience that from other people. And if we haven't found our own love for ourselves, it's very difficult to ever receive love fully from someone else. Because, if you don't love yourself, how are you going to expect anyone else to love you and make up for those parts? It's simply impossible. And if we love ourselves fully, then we're able to receive someone else's love fully. And we're not trying to get something from someone in order for our lack. And the path to better loving and better love, it does start from within. And that's kind of the first step. And the first thing I wanted to talk about in this episode is it has to start with you. It always starts with us, because the love that we have for ourselves also shows other people on how we want to be loved and the level of love that we desire and we require as well. Desire being a very feminine trait and something that, is the feminine essence, is what you desire. And so we have to really start with ourselves and examine the beliefs, our core beliefs around ourselves, our relationships, and also the ideas and relationships we have around with the world around us, with humanity, with how we see the world. And these beliefs are, our shadows often. It's if we have these negative beliefs about ourselves or about love, this is what we're going to project then onto other people. If you have a belief, for example, that you are not worthy of love or you're not worth anything, you are going to attract in partners or people, friendships that do things that make you feel unworthy, which then this is just our way of telling ourselves, our ego's way of telling ourselves that this is true, to reinforce that belief that was already within us. That in itself is so powerful that we are just going to attract people in, our ego is, just to validate it, just to tell ourselves that it's right. Yeah, see, I'm not worthy. And so if you are secure about yourself and you have a belief that you are worthy of a loving relationship, for example, if you received mixed messages or avoidant behaviors from a guy, it would be an absolute turn off and you would completely walk the other way or run the other way, because it would just be a complete lack of alignment. And if you see the worth in yourself and someone else couldn't see that, it would be an immediate ick. And I always like to take things back to my own personal experience. And for me, I had a big abandonment wound. And I do believe our wounds, they're always with us in ways. They're a part of our story. And it's never to shame these parts of us or pretend they don't exist or they don't happen. It's the awareness that we have around it and how we can communicate these parts of us to our partners. For example, hey, I had this abandonment wound in my past and this is how I worked on it, and these are sort of my triggers around it, and this is all just self-awareness. But this abandonment wound that I had a belief around and I carried pretty much through my whole life, it took so much work to look at and heal, because it was a lot of shame around it and a lot of stories that I had told myself about this abandonment in my life that happened in early childhood. And often these shadows and these beliefs, they do start in our early childhood or early relationships, and then we start to carry them through our relationship into our next relationship, and then they become patterns in our lives. But healing isn't easy. Like I said, it's painful and messy, and it's through the work that we do on ourselves that can undo these negative stories. And this is how we build the love within ourselves. So if I have this abandonment wound, I can't continue this perpetuating this pattern of attracting in partners that are emotionally unavailable, for example, that are just going to abandon me, because all that's going to do is keep on, ripping open that wound or proving that that is real when truly it's actually not. And so that actually requires me to first not abandon myself. And so often in the wound or the pain is where we can find the healing. And so when we come back and do the deep sort of diving and finding what it is that is actually this thing that we're carrying or this belief, when we get to the core of that and you actually discover what it is, that's almost the way out. Like it's like the key to move through and get through that healing journey, so that you're not entering a relationship with a very active trigger, for example. I also believe that any belief that we have is really separating us from recognizing the inherent worth in all people. And so I don't want to walk around carrying this abandonment wound that then is just like putting this sort of abandonment energy out into the world. So if you're walking around with this like unworthy wound, you're putting out unworthy energy. And so we have to take control and take our power back and replace the limiting views with a belief that is like something you would want for your best friend. If you wouldn't want that for your best friend, why would you want that for yourself? So as you shift and you see yourself in other people and like through the eyes of someone else or through the eyes of love, you start to make loving actions in your life, and you would say like, I wouldn't want that toxic relationship for my friends, so why would I want that for myself? And so when you start to live more from a place of love, your day and your life will start to reflect that. And this can be through like daily practices, having compassion for yourself, and moving yourself closer to love and away from the belief or the unworthiness or the fear or whatever it is. So after working a lot over the past couple of years on myself and really finding myself in this place of like truly knowing who I am, truly seeing my worth, knowing my worth as a human being, as a woman, it helps me approach relationships now without any expectation. And I'm able to enter into, any sort of presence with another person from a really pure place of just like wanting to interact and connect, because I know who I am. And that way, because I know who I am, I can get to know someone else better and get to see them from a really authentic, genuine place without any conditionings or beliefs on who they are. And then from there, I can get to know this person and see if they're an energetic match for me with where I'm at right now. Because if I'm carrying around these wounds and I enter into, dating with someone, I'm getting to know someone, but I have this belief that people are going to hurt me, I'm just going to expect that person is going to hurt me. So I'm not going to actually be able to get to know them for who they are without this conditioning that I have on myself. So we have to remove that conditioning and really be able to enter into any sort of, connection with someone from a completely open, pure place that isn't coming with any sort of like baggage as such. And it like I said, it's not shaming these things that have happened to us, but I'm not letting that change who I am. I've spoken about this in a previous episode actually, but loving better requires transcending the small self that operates from fear and separation. Like I believe we are all here firstly to come back to our hearts, and then to love in union from a pure conscious place. And this conscious place really requires work to overcome these patterns that manifested from maybe unloving relationships or experiences from the past. And it's hard because these are the things that we carry, and it's the stories that we often perpetuate, but we really have to like kill any part of that story that we're still carrying that's resisting the purest love from like coming into your life. And the more fully that you love, the more whole you become as a person. We can't seek someone else to make up for our lack. Like we have to be fully whole as people, individuals, there's a saying of like, I'm just trying to find my other half. It's like, no, I'm whole and you're whole, and we're going to come together as the fullest versions of ourselves. And you can find people who make up for maybe the things that you're not great at. Like, I feel I'm calling in like this divine masculine, and I want him to be amazing at spreadsheets because I'm terrible at spreadsheets, right? It's like you want them to maybe love the things that you don't love doing. Like, I love to cook, so I don't mind if my partner doesn't love to cook, because I want to be able to do that for him and give that to him and nurture him, being the feminine energy. But if he didn't have me, he would know how to go and order food if he wanted to. Like, he's still a person, a whole person, but we can help each other when we show up in love, and we can love each other and love doing the things for each other that maybe the other person doesn't love doing. But you are still a functioning, fully able person without this other person. However, I believe that when we come together in union, we are so much more powerful, and we can do so much more in the world. Like, we can build empires, we can do more change, we can help each other. Like, you have someone there to pick you up when you're down, and it's done from a place that isn't attached in a toxic way or very codependent. It's almost the opposite. It's like, I'm not dependent on you and you're not dependent on me. Therefore, we can enter this and help each other because we want to, versus we feel like we need to, or that we need that. And the more fully that you love, the more beautiful your life is going to be. And I feel often our ego, or maybe the masculine, will try and close themselves off as a way to control and a way to predict their life and control it, versus actually fully leaning into the unknown, which is love. This idea of like, I don't think love ever has an ending. Like, it's the complete unknown. You have no idea where it's going to go. It's how much deeper can you love this person? It's a scary thought of you don't know how much love can exist, which is the most scary but beautiful idea in the world, that you can never ever stop falling in love with someone, and it just can keep on getting deeper and deeper if you really truly both want that and both lean into that in relationships and also within yourself. Like, how much can you love yourself? Like, the limit does not exist. If we were to quote Mean Girls, like, you can never stop loving yourself deeper. And that is the most magical thought I think I've ever thought. It's just kind of come through now. And it is so powerful and so just mind-blowing to me that the journey of self-love is never ending. How much we can love how much we can love ourselves is just this infinite just possibility. And if we all walked around this planet with that much love for ourselves and for other people, the world would be such a different place, which is why I feel compelled to talk about it and share my beliefs and put love out into the world. One question, that I like to give tangible advice on the podcast and, give tips and tricks and bullet points and different things. But I think the one thing I'm going to leave you with today, guys, and really share versus lots of different like manifestation practices or different daily rituals that I've shared in previous podcast episodes. The one thing I really want to share today with you is something that helps me come back to my heart. And that is, what would love do? When relating with someone, like, what would love do in this situation, in this conversation, in this interaction? Or what would me fully showing up in love look like? If I'm dating someone or in a relationship with someone or, connecting with a friend, like, if I fully show up in love, what would that look and feel like? Because there wouldn't be conditioning. There wouldn't be these negative beliefs or ideas or fear or, suspicions around people. If you just fully show up in love, like, nothing else matters because it's coming from the heart. And this also means love for myself. And this has been a big lesson that I learned, a journey I went on, but a lesson I learned, that this idea of unconditional love, it starts with you. And in order for you to unconditionally love someone else, you first have to unconditionally love yourself. And this means not neglecting your core needs or sacrificing your values or morals at the expense of someone else. And I did this. I really had to learn this the hard way, of sacrificing and not putting myself first and not putting my needs and values first, and what I actually believed in terms of my morals and, what I believed in my heart. Like, I really allowed someone else's beliefs to come before my own as a form of me trying to unconditionally love them. But actually, it starts with you. You have to unconditionally love yourself first, and then not accept or not, I think accept would be the right word, anything less than that. Because if you unconditionally love yourself, you aren't going to accept breadcrumbs from someone else, or bad behavior, or toxic behavior, or cheating, or whatever it is, because you would have so much love for yourself, you would walk away from that situation because of the self-worth and the self-love, that you're not going to accept that from someone else. It's like you're either going to fully show up in love or not show up at all. Like, go, thank you, have a nice life. It's true. And that is the self-worth. That is the self-love. And so in order to love, it does start with you, so that you can love someone else correctly, the way they deserve to be loved as well, which is wholeheartedly, and I believe unconditionally. Unconditionally, though, doesn't mean without boundaries. You can still have boundaries for yourself and truly love someone. And it can be confronting when you are with someone or you're in a relationship, and this person, they hold mirrors up to us. I believe we call these people into our lives, these sort of soul contracts, these connections, these soulmates, twin flames, friendships, whatever it is. It's like we call these people in to hold a mirror up to us of where we're not free, where we're still trapped. These sort of blind spots that they show us. We enter relationships and they can show us things like, oh, I'm not fully trusting yet. Oh, if I'm not fully trusting, there's some conditioning or some blockage in my heart that isn't free in order for me to fully trust someone. And so someone can mirror this back at you, or, if someone's mirroring this self-worth thing back at you, then we can look at ourselves and say, okay, what do I need to do in order to free my heart and open my heart more and live from my heart? One of my little quotes that I live by, little mantras, is like, let heartbreak break you open. So it's like, yes, these heartbreaking things that happen, these things that happen to us in life, our situations, our circumstances, like, let that open you up even more. Like, don't let it close your heart. Don't let these things that have happened to us stop you from loving, because these are the things that show us how to love. And we can teach one another how to love even better. You can express how you would desire to be loved, or what would make you feel loved. That is so important in, masculine, feminine polarity, is helping the masculine understand what you need in order to feel loved. And also, by doing this, you are able to love from a very feminine, sort of giving, nurturing place. And then the masculine is going to feel safe and feel loved and feel empowered to be in his purpose, so that he can then live from his heart more. And the more we can, as women, live from the heart, the more we give permission for men to live and love from their hearts from a masculine place. Next episode, I am going to do on masculine and feminine polarity, because this somehow accidentally started going into that unintentionally. I just speak from the heart, guys. I just let it flow. So definitely next episode is going to be on that. But I hope this has resonated for some of you. I hope you're tuning in a little bit to what your heart is saying, and asking yourself, like, on the daily, what does my heart need? What does it want? What is it trying to say to me? Because I feel like the heart is the home of our soul. And so when we tune in and listen, and we can get really clear with our heart, it's like our intuition and our soul is talking to us and guiding us. And yeah, the power that we have within us to put love into the world is so special. So I just invite you guys to really just like drop in and tap in and see what it's saying, and ask yourself, what can you do to show up in love more? And that is today's episode. I hope you guys have loved it. If you are enjoying the podcast, I would love if you gave it a follow on Spotify and rated it. It would mean a lot to me. It just puts the podcast out there and shows me that you guys like it. And I always leave a little poll or comment section down below for you to give feedback and share your thoughts. But next episode, masculine, feminine polarity, coming in soon. I hope you had an amazing January, and here is to an even better February. Bye, guys.